Just wanted to make a little review of the Leyland Daf T244. Now, I've had mine almost 4 years. I've travelled over 25,000 miles over very mixed terrain in temperatures from plus 45 to minus 45. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of how she performs and behaves. I've also lived in it full time for 2 years now. So I'm a big fan of the Leyland Daf T244. It's reliable, it's built tough, it's got the very reliable Cummins 6BT engine. There's no electronics in this, no ECU, very easy to work on. You just put fuel and air in and it'll work. Access is excellent. You can get under here, you can tilt the cab forward, and you have so much space underneath that you don't have to worry about jacking it up all the time. You can just, in most cases, just work on it. A few downsides though. Being a truck, everything's quite heavy. These wheels, 150 kilos each. You can change them on your own. It can be a bit of an effort. What they like to drive, well, they're good fun. They can be a bit agricultural, especially compared to modern day cars and trucks. Common complaint is the speed versus RPM. Now you can fix this by putting a ZF gearbox in. It's been done successfully a few times, but I'm not suggesting you do that. There are other ways to get around this. Bigger wheels, for example. So I've put bigger wheels on. And again, I'm not recommending you do it because it's quite costly to do this. Ideally, you want to get some new wheels made up and then bigger tyres on. Bigger tyres means bigger diameter, which increases your road speed for your RPM. What are they like off-road? Well, tyre choice is very important here. They do have a bit of a reputation for getting stuck in muddy fields, and this is just because the tyres that come with them aren't very good. Get a good pair of tyres. It does have a centre differential which locks drive front and back, and they are excellent off-road. I highly recommend soundproofing them. I've got about £300 worth of soundproofing in this one. It makes a huge difference. So fuel consumption. Over my 25,000 miles of very mixed terrain, and bear in mind there were like months and months of off-road, severe off-road, and months in extreme weather. So I'd run in 2 diesel heaters off the tank. So my mileage figures are going to be a little bit off. I've averaged 13 miles per gallon over 25,000 miles. And for a truck this size, that's pretty good, to be honest. You may do better, depends on your route, where you go. Or if you're just going to be in the UK, a lot of arborists use these trucks, then I expect you might see better fuel consumption. A few things to look out for if you're buying one. Wheel arches, rusty wheel arches, it's quite common. Rusty footwells, normally caused by a leak in the windscreen or the gun hatch. And any area that has collected water. One of the problems with these is they've been in the army and they've sat around for many years not being used, so they can have a little bit of rot. Ideally, high mileage is probably better because they've been used. Vehicles don't like to sit around not being used. A few jobs I'd recommend you do, and this is especially important if you're going overlanding. Change your lift pump. Keep the old one as a spare and service your injection pump. Otherwise, you could end up getting diesel down into your sump, and that means changing your injection pump, changing your oil filter and your oil, and you don't want to be doing this in the middle of a desert. So do that before you go. A few other things I'd recommend is either change or at least carry with you a spare clutch master and clutch slave cylinder. These were probably going to go on you unless it's been changed by the army, and you won't know that. Another thing you must change, and I recommend this is the first job you do, is the fuel lines. The old fuel lines are prone to leaking air, which means an unreliable engine and having to bleed the system a lot. So change those fuel lines straight away. Failing cab rams. This is quite common. Unfortunately, you can't buy them anymore, so your options are to buy used or try and service the old ones. They are serviceable. I do know of someone that's managed to do it. Jobs you should do isn't really in the scope of this video, so I will make more videos about the detailed jobs I would do if you're going overlanding in one of these. I just really wanted to sum up what I think of the truck and I do think they're great. To sum up, they are easy to work on. They are reliable. These engines are good for 1,000,000 miles. Just change the oil, look after them. One note on fuel: try to use good quality fuel. And I say this because I've had issues in Russia, Turkey, Georgia with what I believed was good fuel and it wasn't, and yet the truck kept stalling, and I spent hours trying to find a problem that didn't exist. It was down to the fuel. Try and use Shell, BP, or recommended or known brands. If you can't, you can't, but that's my advice. But yes, the trucks are great. They're good, they're tough, they're solid. You can take some big hits. I've hit some holes in the ground and I thought that's got to have done some damage, and it is not. It's just super tough. As far as weight goes, I'm running this about 10.5 tonne, fully loaded for Overland. Some people try to get under 7.5 tonne, but in reality, they're over the limit. It's very hard to get this under 7.5. Bearing in mind the base vehicle on its own, if you strip off as much weight as you can, you're probably still looking at 5.5 tonne. If you have any questions, please add it in the comments. I will answer all questions. I will be making more videos on the DAF.